So, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line is officially being sued. As of yesterday, October 17th, a class action lawsuit was filed against Royal Caribbean and is being spearheaded by an attorney named Michael Winkleman. He's been involved in a couple different cruise ship lawsuits over the past decade or so, and now with this particular lawsuit, he is claiming that anywhere between 900 to 1,000 passengers that at some point sailed on board Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas is a victim of a very disturbing crime. The main catalyst and villain here is a former Royal Caribbean employee, a crew member that worked on board Symphony of the Seas as a room steward by the name of Arvin Marisol. You remember that name? Earlier in the year, at late February, I was talking about this guy. He eventually ended up getting arrested and is now currently facing a lot of years in prison. However, the story has now circled back with the lawsuit. The victims have come forward, and the attorney, Michael Winkleman, is claiming that, well, the cruise line didn't do enough, and he has a couple different arguments in this case. However, there is a quick video clip I want to show all of you, and then after that, once you have the context, we'll go over a couple more details in this story.
It's a disturbing case that has many passengers who joined this class action lawsuit worried, frustrated, but most of all, they want answers from Royal Caribbean. Many did not notice what appears to be a camera tucked underneath a sink inside this stateroom aboard Royal Caribbean's Symphony of the Seas. But according to a class action lawsuit filed Tuesday, this is one of the devices used by a crew member to secretly record passengers. A New Hampshire woman we spoke with believes she, along with her husband and 13-year-old son, were among the many victims. She asked us to conceal her identity.
We have memory of him sort of being very adamant about wanting to enter into our cabin room, and he wanted to fill the soap dispenser that was located in the shower.
Arvin Marisol, a former stateroom attendant for Royal Caribbean, is now serving 30 years in federal prison. According to the 32-page lawsuit, law enforcement discovered numerous videos of naked females undressing in the bathroom, as well as videos of child pornography. Aside from placing hidden cameras in bathrooms, the lawsuit says Marisol stated that while guests were taking a shower, he would enter the rooms and hide under the bed while recording them naked with his cellular device.
This is already a known industry problem, and not just hidden cameras being an issue, and it's happened on virtually every single of the cruise lines, but also rapes and sexual assaults at sea.
Michael Winkleman is the attorney representing the plaintiffs in this case. He tells me Royal Caribbean should also be to blame.
I think Royal Caribbean had a moral obligation to notify all the passengers that likely could have been affected. They didn't do that. Now the notice is out there.
Tell me, what does justice look like for you in this case?
It's more about getting the word out there because Royal Caribbean is not.
The lawsuit focuses on a time frame of December 1st, 2023 to February 26, 2024, which is during the time Marisol worked aboard the Symphony of the Seas. Winkleman believes there could be upwards of 1,000 people who were affected and have no idea.
We have clients that were children that were affected, similar in age to my daughter. I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I know it terrifies me thinking about the kind of an impact that it would have on a child.
NBC6 reached out to Royal Caribbean. A spokesperson sent us this statement. The safety and privacy of our guests is our highest priority, and we have zero tolerance for this behavior. We immediately reported this case to law enforcement and terminated the crew member. As this is pending litigation, we are unable to comment further at this time. As for the plaintiff we spoke with, this entire ordeal has caused her overwhelming anxiety and worry.
You know, sleeping in hotels is it's challenging. Even public bathrooms, changing rooms, it's hard, and I try to avoid them because I don't want to be violated again.
The attorney tells me that so far more than a dozen people have joined this lawsuit and more have been reaching out to his office since it was filed. And he also says there's currently no law in the books right now that would force cruise lines to let passengers know if they've been potentially a victim of a video voyeur. He says obviously that's something that needs to change, and he hopes that this lawsuit will put a focus on that.
So it does appear that the primary victim and accuser within this class action lawsuit that is going by Jane Doe, or I believe SF, is the original victim that would inevitably get Irvin Marisol arrested and put in prison for at least 30 years. Hopefully that term is fully carried out. Now, like I said, you have the attorney involved in all of this, Michael Winkleman, who is stating that Royal Caribbean could have potentially avoided this, or they should have done better, highlighting other incidents that took place. For example, in Harmony of the Seas last year, there was a passenger that was planting hidden cameras inside of public restrooms. He was then arrested, as well as other cases that have taken place. And he's also stating the big issue here is that Royal Caribbean hasn't disclosed this situation to other passengers that could have potentially been victims of these hidden cameras that were hidden in the room, let alone, of course, Irvin Marisol also hiding under the bed and watching them undress, because there are a lot of people involved of many different ages, ranging from 2 to up to 17. The issue with this, as stated in the video, is that technically there is no law that tells a cruise line that they have to disclose any information regarding an incident such as this that might take place. So now you have a battle, if you will, between what is morally and legally right to do. Unfortunately, embedded within the cruise ship industry and business lies a very delicate system. I'm not saying that it's right. However, I try to look at things from both a business perspective and a realistic perspective. Imagine if Royal Caribbean disclosed this information of what has taken place, as far as potentially having their photos and videos and all this stuff taken by a crew member, and allegedly he was also sending it to other people and putting it on the dark web. That would create a lot of backlash towards Royal Caribbean. It just wouldn't be good PR. Once again, I'm not saying it's right, and I know that sounds just disgusting to say from a realistic standpoint, where people are just trying to live their lives and enjoy their vacation. But of course, now you have this situation where this lawsuit has come out and this information has been disclosed, that Royal Caribbean hasn't disclosed the information to other passengers that are potentially victims. It is just unfortunately all bad right now. As we all know, there is unfortunately a giant stigma around cruise ships. There are people that literally hate cruising. That's because they, in all honesty, probably have never been on a cruise in their life. Nevertheless, it doesn't escape the severity of this situation. Let's say the alleged 1,000 victims were told about the footage and videos of them that have now maybe possibly been sent over to the dark web, or there's somebody harboring these videos of them. Obviously, it is something that is not directly tied to the cruise line, but whether it be a cruise ship or a hotel, if an employee that did act alone did something like this, naturally people are going to unfortunately blame the company. Once again, it's not right, but it is unfortunately baked in the cake of business. I do personally believe this lawsuit isn't going to result in a technical win or loss, but rather some type of settlement, because obviously it's in Royal Caribbean's best interest to nip this in the bud and have it disappear quickly. Whether Royal Caribbean is in the right or in the wrong for not disclosing the information is irrelevant from a business perspective, because the last thing they want is for passengers that are coming to have their dream, no hassle vacation of a lifetime is to worry about whether their room steward is entering their room with their personal belongings, trying to go in there and steal something or hide a camera where they can watch them naked. It's not something that needs to be created, and it's not something that needs to become a known thing within the cruise ship industry, because this will not only be bad for Royal Caribbean, this will be bad industry-wide, especially with this cruise boom we're experiencing. You have Royal Caribbean, I believe they're hiring up to 10,000 new employees. People are now going to wonder about the vetting system, the background checks. After that, there is the potential for new laws to take effect that may be in the benefit of the general public, which is not necessarily a bad thing. However, there could be laws that are taking effect into Royal Caribbean that's going to cost them more money and maybe have to change the way they do things in terms of the great service they provide to all of their guests on board. But that's what I have for today's video. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out, subscribe if you haven't already, and know as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.